Okay, so this is our live career coaching hour. This is the first one of these done, so if there's a little logistic things, please bear with us. We're gonna get through it together. We got this. So we're gonna start with a quick introduction of Ama La Vida, just a little bit of logistics as to how this hour is going to work, so we can all get the most that we want out of it. And then we're gonna jump into the coaching aspect of it. And so with that being said, for those of you coming to us from Eventbrite, we are Ama La Vida. We are a life, health and wellness, leadership, and career coaching company. And my name is Justice here at the company, and I'm a relationship strategist, which means that when you schedule time to speak with someone on our team, generally speaking, you're going to end up on someone on my team's calendar, and we will have a complimentary half-hour conversation. And during that time, I will ask you deeper questions to get to know more about your current situation, the goals that you have for yourself, as well as we will pair you up with the most appropriate coach for you based on their backgrounds, personalities, and skill set. So with that being said, I will drop my link here shortly. If you can jump on my calendar, if you have anything pressing in front of mind that you'd like to talk about. But joining me here today is our coach, Sara. So Sara, if you want to give a little quick introduction about yourself.
Of course. Thanks, Justice. Hi, everyone. I am Coach Sara Dawson, coming at you from Seattle. And I'm really excited to be here today for our coaching hour, given that career coaching is something that's very near and dear to my own heart. Prior to moving into full-time coaching, which I do today in both the career as well as the health, life, and leadership spaces, I was a former digital advertising account management leader. And coaching was one small slice of my role. It was my favorite piece of my role. And my journey of discovery around what I wanted, really finding my purpose, building the confidence for that transition and really discovering the next steps to get there is what ultimately led me to being here with you all today. So I'm excited to pack in as much as possible into this hour, so that way you can get a taste of what I support a lot of my clients in on their own journey to leveling up themselves, whether it be professionally and on that career transition or career development leadership side, or personally, or a little bit of both as well. So it's great to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sara. And so this is a little bit more about how this is going to work. So if you have a question in mind already, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand and then in the Zoom, and then we'll call on someone at random, and then you can come off mute, turn on your video, just come off mute, whatever you're more comfortable with, and you can ask your question to Sara. And then we're going to try to get to everyone we can. We do also have some written out questions that we'll answer at the end. We want to give people that want to come off the camera or come off the mute and talk to us the priority here, just to get a better sense of what a coaching session actually is like. And again, this recording will be posted on YouTube and via sent to email, so you can watch it again if you have any other questions or just want to go back and relook at it. And we'll come back to this slide, but if you want to get in touch with us, this is Sara's email, and then we'll also send this out in the follow-up as well with my email as well. But with that being said, feel free to raise your hand. Does anybody have a question? And we're going to put you on spotlight, Sara, so you can be here for everybody to see.
Okay.
And does anybody have a question right off the bat? If you see your hand raised, I will be more than happy to click on you. If I miss you with your hands raised, you can go ahead and message me directly in the chat as well. But other than that, if anybody wants to go first, the floor is yours.
Who's going to be the lucky first one to kick us off? No pressure, just only stage.
We have Jenny. All right, Jenny, I'm gonna ask you to come off of mute, and I am going to put you on the slideshow. All right, there you are, Jenny, and feel free to ask your question whenever you're ready.
Hi, Sara, Justice. I can't see myself. I don't know if you guys can see me.
Not yet. I just see the dark screen.
It's so strange. Okay, anyhow, I won't, yeah, that screen, I have my video on, but okay. My question is, like for me, I am stuck in this realm of just trying to find myself again and where my career is. How does one go about just starting to figure things out? to move forward, just to find what it is that will make you happy, what how to make a move in career wise. Just I'm completely stuck.
Yeah, well, one, Jenny, thanks for being that brave first volunteer here. And I'd love to spend a brief amount of time just hearing a bit more about that stuckness you're feeling today. You mentioned that you're in this space of really looking to find yourself. I'd love to understand a little bit more about where you've been, and that way we can determine how to go forward from here.
Sure. So with the past 2 years having worked remotely, have been working remotely and everything, I feel like not being able to actually, I'm fully vaccinated and everything, but it's kind of scary to go out there and venture out and do things again like one used to. And so I tread lightly when it comes to things like that. But I feel like I have, I'm in this bubble where I'm looking at everything from the inside out, and I'm trying to figure out if I should step out and do certain things. And mostly with my career, I feel like I want to, I'm an administrative assistant, executive assistant rather. And I feel the need to want to do something else. I just don't know how to go about doing that. And the career wise thing is more important to me, than anything, because it's my livelihood. So I just don't know what avenues to go to, what research to do. I've read a couple of articles and I've joined a lot of networks and things like that, but I'm still not getting what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So I just need some guidance on that.
Yeah. And quick question for you as well, Jenny. Are you new to coaching, or have you experienced any sort of career or life coaching in the past?
No, new to coaching.
Great. Well, as you've seen.
And I also wanted to see if coaching would actually be a thing for me. Because I've looked at, I have spoken to Justice. I tried to schedule a time with you, Justice, but the link did not work for me. So I'm going to try it again.
Figured out.
But yeah, I wanted to see if this is actually a thing that I can actually do that would help me. So this is awesome that you guys have this free weapon.
Yeah. So I'll do my best to squeeze in as much as possible in our short time. Justice will keep me honest with the timing, and then I can talk through at that point what we would typically go through in terms of future next steps from there. But at the end of the day, as you mentioned, Jenny, that stuck feeling is not a great space to be in. And my goal as a coach is to support you, my client, in taking small steps forward, because any of those steps are going to lead you on that path of discovery. So it sounds like I've heard you've taken some steps, maybe some networking, other sorts of exploration. Nothing has worked out per se just yet. I'm wondering also, when is this change, this career next step, important for you to complete by? What time frame are we working with?
I wasn't really thinking of a time frame. Do I have to have a time frame to actually complete it?
Yeah, not necessarily. It's helpful to know those parameters, though, of what we are working with. So that way our steps and timeline there are adjusted accordingly. But that said, so we've got some open-endedness. My goal would be that we uncover next steps that you can move forward with on the career exploration side, while also exploring anything that we could do to improve your current situation as well, knowing that as that executive or administrative assistant, you're currently in that role today. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So one area I would be curious to explore would be within your current role. If we could identify 3 top things that you dislike about your current role, what would those be?
It's funny because I just started a new role in the same company yesterday.
Okay.
And if I would have had that question asked to me last week, I would have had a whole bunch of things. But just to narrow it down, I mean, I think just having a manager that doesn't trust your abilities to do what you're there to do, and that's something that I struggle with my previous manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've in my resume, I've had years and years. I mean, over 26 years of executive assistant experience supporting C-level suite individuals. So it's pretty high up there in the assistant category.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And so I was supporting the president of an organization, and she just didn't feel like I had what it took to support her. But as I'm looking at it now that I'm out of that role, it really had nothing to do with me. It looks like it's kind of more what her insecurities were.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would have just, that one thing was just, and some people do this and some people don't, but for the majority, I've never had a manager like that in my life, in all my 7 years or so. And so, I mean, another negative thing would just, I've come into where people don't let you, managers don't let you be you in the role.
How so?
And well, I mean, there are things that you have to, sit down with that new manager with, sit down with them and talk about what they'd like to have done and where you could support them. But, they kind of let you do your own thing the way, to where whatever experiences that you've brought to the, you can bring to the role and everything, they kind of let you do that to see how you're putting that into the new role. And in the last 3 years, I've kind of not been able to do that. They've, especially my last position, it was a comparison between the last two assistants that I had to work against, and so I never really felt like I was me. I was trying to be two other people that are no longer in this position. And so that it was difficult for me.
So I'm hearing, Jenny, that it sounds like within your current role and potentially new role as of yesterday, today,
Yes.
there's these environmental factors as well. And I've seen that with many of my clients as well, that depending on the sort of manager that you have or the expectation around comparison or competition versus support, collaboration, those can be things that really impact your own fulfillment and satisfaction wherever you may go as well. And I ask these questions to encourage you to continue to explore what those dislikes mean for you with your ideal future next step. So like two sides of the same coin. When we feel like we don't know what exactly we want, let's start with what we do know, which is what we don't want. And I imagine if we had all the time in the world, we could get really clear about things that are not aligning for you. And if we flip that around, we can see and start to get clear on what does ideal management look like for you? What does an ideal supportive environment look like? How you work with other employees, for example. And in the same way, I encourage you to take that inventory as you're navigating this newer role of your responsibilities. What are you liking? What are you disliking? And we use that as that foundation to continue your career exploration. We use that, if I fast forward a bit here, we use that to get clear about yourself, to really understand what you're passionate about, where your strengths are, what you value, and use all of those ingredients. And oftentimes we can learn so much again from the dislikes to get to those likes and use that as that foundation then to start exploring what's out there, whether it be on the job boards, networking, all of those pieces that it sounds like you might be starting to dabble into as well. So in terms of your next steps, as with coaching, we always land at the end of a session on identifying a concrete takeaway or two. So that way we are keeping you moving forward instead of that stuck space. I would love for you, in terms of that next step, perhaps I'm hearing it's revisiting with Justice, getting time on the calendar to explore further. It could also mean then really challenging yourself in the week ahead to write down what those likes and dislikes are. So that way, when you have that consultation, we've got some more concrete information to work with that we can coach around. How do those next steps sound to you? Or does anything else come to mind that you would feel ready and excited to commit to?
No, I think I've never really thought about writing things down. So this is a great start and it was difficult for me to even write, to even tell you what I dislike, because I practically disliked everything from that previous role. But, I love being an assistant. So I need to kind of scratch that whole year that I spent there and look at, what I like about the position, what I like more about the position, because there are not that many dislikes. I've been in this position for so long. I obviously like it, so making lists is perfect. My strengths and what I value and things like that, my passion. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Jenny, for being the brave first volunteer for us.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Have a great day. And,
You too.
okay. So we had somebody who had their hand up and it looks like it went down. So does anybody else have anything? Front of my, oh, there you are. We have Carrie here. Give me 1 second to get you on spotlight. And there you are. Hello.
Hi, Carrie.
Good morning. It's still morning here in California. So for me, I have been unemployed. I left my role early pandemic due to like a really negative environment, wanting to transition out of a high intensity trauma advocacy space that I've been in for like a decade. And so I've been taking all of this time, kind of like recovering, processing, looking in a whole new career direction. And it's really hard right now building the momentum to take the action that I know will help move me forward. And I'm very cognizant of the pandemic and even like what Jenny was saying about how there's still so much weight of the pandemic and moving forward, and all of the old like socializing is out of the realm. So I've really been focusing on building momentum. And so, and especially in a new direction too. So it's not like, oh, I don't want all of my experience to land me into the next obvious role. I don't want anything to do with that really, aside from like what the skills have taught me.
And I have to say, I love your background, by the way. I love
It's aspirational.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, so relevant to our topic of building momentum, right? But with our coaching, being able to see one another, still have more of that connection is a way that I find that makes the coaching that much more impactful where possible. So thank you for sharing on the screen. And same question for you, as I asked Jenny, are you new to coaching or any previous experience with career leadership life coaching?
I do have some experience within the past. I've worked with a couple of different coaches in short bursts. It's been a while. And I've actually dabbled in my own coaching, helping support people focusing on intentional joy, which is what I really enjoy doing. But it's been hard to really fully lean into that because becoming an entrepreneur is huge.
So I always love thinking about fellow coaches there, and intentional joy. Intentional is probably one of my favorite words in coaching. I wonder, what is the connection for you between intentional joy and building momentum?
I think that I would ideally like to have my whatever action I'm doing, have it have a sense of joy to it. And I think that's one of the things I find challenging about the typical job searchy things, even just like connecting. It's a lot of time on the computer. Even if I eventually get those info calls and chats, which I really enjoy that piece, it takes a lot of solo at my workspace computer time, and that doesn't feel joyful. It feels limiting, and solitary, and distracting too, because of the distractions. I can't like turn off the internet if I'm trying to like reach out to people or researching or falling down that, you know, positive LinkedIn rabbit hole that John was talking about earlier this week.
Yes. So it's a different environment for sure to be able to take momentum on these next steps. Sounds like the areas that bring you more of that intentional joy, the connection piece in this sort of environment. It's not so motivating to move forward with those areas.
Right.
Okay. So let's say that you found that intentional joy. What next steps with your career exploration would you be building that momentum on and doing right now?
I think I've gotten to this point where I just want to have the job. It's been so long thinking about it, and I've had these little false starts and false hopes and like, oh, almost getting hired in the thing, which ultimately I'm glad I didn't, because it seemed like it would be a bad fit anyway in the grand scheme. But it's this wanting to, what was that?
Funny how that works out.
You know, all those red flags, I think I didn't want it anyway. But it's this feeling of wanting to be there already, where it feels like this has just dragged on for so long. And so I just want to be in it. I want to be engaged. I want to to get out of the ready set. I just want to go. And I don't know if that really answers your question, but I think it's kind of the stuck space that I'm in, where I'm just feeling a little annoyed almost by the circumstances and by myself, like my lack of like big action that moves me forward.
So the false starts, absolutely. The job process, that can be one of the really challenging areas around it to stay motivated for anyone, because even when we have a set timeline for what we want and we're doing all of the things, there's still all these elements outside of our control. So it can feel like, well, now what from here? So I wonder then, what do you need to believe in order to take action?
I need to believe that what I do next will be better than what I've done in the past, because I've had a lot of negative work experiences from the and I'm an attorney, and so letting go of this identity, I need to believe that my next role will not be painful, whether it's through like the nature of the work or with like really negative superiors, that whole piece of it, feeling like ethically uncomfortable. I need to believe that my next job or whatever I'm doing next won't be a painful experience, because I still think I'm avoiding that by not going all in on it. And also regret this piece of like, oh, well, I made a bad choice in this huge long career path. I was going to be a lawyer since I was in high school, so it's been over 20 years that this was my path, and I just don't want it anymore. But really believing that I can find value and meaningful work and joy in a career in my next position. I think like really believing that is important for me.
Yeah, because if you don't have that belief, then understandably, what's the point in moving forward if we're moving forward into a role that is not going to make you happy and fulfilled?
But it's just more of the same. Like, I'm tired of spinning my wheels and ending up in similar, well, I guess new traumatizing situations, but yeah.
So on the flip side, when we reflect on your past experiences, what is something you need to forgive yourself for or let go of to move forward?
I think I have this feeling that I stayed too long in most of those places. And I also do have like certain cases that like there's one in particular that sits with me forever, like such a mistake on how something was handled and like the blowout and like media coverage. So there are little kernels of that. So that's a good question. So like focusing on what to forgive myself for, not just like an outward blaming of, oh, well, you know, this terrible leadership and like, oof, this, but thinking about how I can forgive myself for my, I guess, like how I didn't show up in the way that I wanted to, or that version of myself that I want to be going forward when I wasn't in those situations.
Yeah. Since putting it into language for our listeners right now, with coaching, I focus on 3 different core areas. With career, there are the methods. So ensuring we have the systems, tools, frameworks to identify what you want for your next step, getting really clear about yourself, and then having the strategies and tactics for applications, resume, cover letter, all of those things. The other 2 pieces that we need are, 1, motivation. And that motivation is not just for getting started, but also when we have those false starts, when things get tough, what do we need to rekindle that motivation? And that leads to the last area that helps support that, and that's mindset. So through our time coaching, it would be really focused on what we need for mindset and those beliefs, whether it be beliefs about yourself or beliefs about the situation or employers. Those are all aspects to explore, to deepen that learning and get you unblocked to move forward. How does that resonate with you, that idea?
Yeah, I like having the 3 pillars because it is all of those things, because I'm stuck a little bit, I think, with the mindset and the motivation, because I know some tactics once I like finally move forward, like so yeah, it resonates quite a bit.
Excellent. In terms of your next steps, knowing that we're at time, Carrie, I would love to encourage you to ask yourself, how will I cultivate my mindset moving forward? Some of that, it sounds like, is going to be through that reflection, that previous reflection, forgiveness, but also to bring more of that energy and enjoyment to your days right now, knowing that getting into that mindset is going to be one of those keys to getting you to move forward with those next steps where it feels like you're dragging. Okay?
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Carrie, for coming off mute and talking with us. All right, we have one more up right now. We have Kimberly. 1 second.
Hello.
Hello. It's not letting you make your spotlight, but go ahead and feel free to ask your question.
Yeah. I
Kimberly,
can
if
relate.
you're able to turn on your video if possible, that might make the spotlight first work as well. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I'd like to just do audio if that's okay.
Okay, no worries. I'm ready for you.
Yeah. I was just gonna say I can relate a lot to what the last 2 people were talking about, as far as wanting to change their career and feeling stuck. I personally work in insurance and have always worked in that and went to school for that. But I'm realizing that it's not something good for me to do. It doesn't align well with my skills. I'm definitely not passionate about it. So I'm not sure what areas to look at next. I have worked with a career coach in the past, and I've done some assessments, kind of like you were saying, things you like, things you don't like, but I'm not really sure what roles to look for. Because most of the inquiries I get from recruiters, of course, are in insurance, but I don't want to do that anymore.
So what have you learned about yourself based on those other assessments, career coaching, learnings around the likes and dislikes, if we were to distill that into a few sentences?
Let's see. Some of the I'll just start with the dislikes. It's probably easier. Right now, my role, one of the big dislikes is doing a lot of financial assessments, looking at statements, doing billing things and accounting. And those are not my specialty, not something I'm interested in doing at all. Let's see what else. Well, I guess as far as the likes, I definitely like the customer service and helping people. So if I could find something like that in another area, that would be nice for me to do. I have learned in my time doing receiving career coaching and then just in exploring other things. I used to work as a makeup artist actually. And that's something I would like to get back into because that is my passion. But the challenge I have now is that's not something that can support me, maybe not for a while. So I need something that I can do right now that's fulfilling while also basically just paying my bills.
Got it. I'd love to hear a bit more than Kimberly about being a makeup artist. What is it about that you enjoy and love so much?
I'm a creative mind, so that is all about, that's what makeup artistry is all about, being creative. I like getting to know people. I like that personal aspect, and I feel like, well, really like in the corporate world in general, there's a lot of lack of authenticity, a lot of politically correctness and things like that, and you don't really get to know people on a personal level. Let's see. I guess what else is in makeup artistry, I like that I'm able to challenge myself to try new things, new techniques, new styles that I might not have done in the past. So that's pretty interesting to me.
Yeah, it sounds like there's that growth and challenge as well.
Yes,
with
definitely.
creativity.
Yes.
Gotcha. So I wonder, with career coaching, often I see that it's a blend. And so I'll be curious if this is similar to or different from your previous career coaching experience. Peer coaching is all about that self-reflection to uncover those answers and next steps that already reside within you. That is our core coaching belief and philosophy, that everyone holds the key because they know themselves best. However, with career, there's a unique element. Often with my clients, I'll say I'm taking my coaching hat off and putting my consulting hat on to chime in with other resources or strategies, those sorts of kind of consulting elements as well, depending on what that person may need to move forward. So as part of that, as we identify some next steps, that is a bit more of that sort of consulting side versus peer coaching. I'd be looking to you to identify what those next steps may be. But what I'm sharing too is my perspective based on what I'm hearing or questions to possibly explore. I wonder in the makeup artistry space, what might adjacent sort of roles look like within that sort of industry, or if we were to define like category areas, like is it, for example, around like, is it part of health and wellness? Is it part of more like fashion, for example? I'm wondering what sort of other adjacent areas we might say that makeup artistry connects to.
Okay. Could you explain that, rephrase that?
Yeah. Side note, and thank you for asking. We can always clarify and ask a different way. What I love about coaching sessions selfishly is that I am certainly not an expert in most things. So I get to learn through my clients. So a different example might be, let me think of, say, a person who, let's say, really enjoys writing, but if they had a similar challenge of the financial aspect fully sustaining them with their work, and they're looking for another role that taps into that sort of creativity, then for writing, we might explore an adjacent sort of position or industries it fits into to identify other possibilities. So writing could fit into, I have an advertising background. So what comes to mind for me might be a direct, like as a copywriter or as part of a creative team within an agency where you're not writing your own specific pieces, but for the different clients that the agency supports. Or it might mean adjacent could be, say, you like the storytelling of writing. Maybe it's not writing, but there are creative roles that are focused on communication and storytelling within advertising or within the movie industry. Maybe there's like producing or other things. So does that help describe more of roles that say it doesn't have to 100% be writing, but how might writing be connected to other types of roles or what sort of industries it might fit into? And those are possible areas that might guide your broader focus.
Right. Well, I'm not sure. See, I'm not sure on like what roles that I could use some of my skills in being a makeup artist. I'm not sure what roles that would be, but I guess something where I'm let me see, like portraying images, maybe doing some like problem solving. That would be something that would be interesting. Working with people for sure, because there's a lot of that. And that kind of goes with the customer service as well.
Okay.
Even like helping people with their self-esteem, because that's what makeup artistry can do as well.
Absolutely. So these are great. These phrases or keywords, essentially what we are getting at here are other possible exploration areas above and beyond, say, a specific job title search or a company search. When we go broader, it allows us to see more of what's out there, to see what resonates with you, what you like and what you don't like, to help guide that clarity. And one of the steps to go through this process that many of our career coaches enjoy doing, myself included, is a next step of encouraging building, if you haven't already done this, your ideal job description using some of these pieces that you've just described here.
Okay.
So what I mean by that would be, we take a starting point, any role, and this could be something that you are interested in, you're not interested in, it really doesn't matter. But we pick one sort of job description that's out there. Maybe it's the job description for your current role. So we've got like the qualifications, we've got the responsibilities, and the idea is you paste that into your own Word document, and automatically then you delete the things that you dislike. Because again, this is your ideal job description. So anything you don't like, great, like remove it. Or if it needs to change slightly, like let's say it says something about like working solo in a environment without collaboration. Well, again, this is your ideal job description. So if you like working around people or helping others, and that's not what's mentioned, then you could adjust some of that phrasing. But the idea then is any job descriptions that you see in the future, that you're going to use that and like copy and paste from these different areas to build your ideal job description. It doesn't matter that it's from these different sources, but the idea is through that process, you start to get clearer on ideally what sort of role, if you got to pick and choose everything, what it would look like. And then as you continue to look out there at other possibilities, it's more about finding what possibilities map to your ideal versus you watering down your ideal to fit into what's out there, which is a key difference in our process. Are you with me so far?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. And another piece that can help inform that would be how you're going about the job search. So I oftentimes hear that challenge with like, well, I don't know what I want. So how do I even know like what I'm searching for if I don't know the job title, for example?
Exactly.
So that's where when we were exploring like the adjacent industries or types of roles, or even those elements that you enjoy. Self-esteem, helping people, problem solving, portraying images. You can start copying and pasting those sorts of keywords and phrases into your job board searches, and you're going to get a wide variety of results that come up. They're going to be like all over the place because it's not title specific, but that variety is going to give you more to be exposed to. That's going to be more that you can use to build your ideal job list. And that may open your eyes to other possibilities that you didn't even know were out there. It means there's more to go through, but the goal at this point is to have more to react to inform your next steps.
That sounds great.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Kimberly, for participating with us. It looks like we have one more hand raised, and then we'll have a little moment here at the end. So next,
quick question. Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Sarah, this is Rick, and I want to thank you very much for the 3 pillars where you talk about plan, strategy, motivation, and mindset. So I think that's very good. But my question for you, Sarah, is where does a person's background and qualifications come in? Because they may have a great plan, you get them motivated, you help them with their mindset, but if they don't have the qualifications and background for a particular job, where does that fit in?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rick. And what I would say at a high level, part of building that plan is understanding that unique person's experience and helping to get clear on what it's going to take to get there. So that transition plan for somebody who has the experience and it's just all about identifying a new company, for example, their transition plan is going to look very different than someone who has identified a brand new career sort of space that they want to get into. It's going to include more of those stepping stone pieces, like identifying the sort of education or skills needed to make themselves marketable. It's going to include more pieces around networking and connections in that space. It might include other pieces like, say, a interim role that is volunteering or shadowing to start building up experience. So through our time together with coaching, it's all about really understanding your unique background and using that to identify those puzzle pieces of your unique plan to get you to those steps, because that plan is going to vary so widely depending on something like experience.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. And next up, we have Kurt here. So 1 second. And then Kurt, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Kurt. Great
I
to
just
see
happen to know Sarah Dawson fairly well.
you.
So I not be where I am today without coaching. I got into real estate 14 years ago, and I jumped on a coaching plan back then, and I would have never ever had a chance at success without that. So I'm a big coaching fan. So to switch gears real quick, sir, I just want to know life and health. On the health side, if I'm irritable, miserable, discontent with exercise, food, can't get out of this, can't get, do you focus on that side of, and if so, what are your plans, and like what's a monthly cost example? Can I,
Yeah.
what's the health side of it that you offer?
Yes. Would you be willing to explore more from your own personal experience based on my coaching type questions? So that way we get to that answer in classic coaching style.
Well, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's say I'm on a sugar binge right now. I'm 15, 20 pounds overweight. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And can you help me? How's that?
Well, short story, yes, but longer story, and even for yourself, I wonder how you envision your success in your role today. I love how a coach was one of those starting pieces to help get you to where you are today. But for you, why is health important for you as part of your life today and not just, say, the career side?
Oh, so I can live long and prosper and watch my grandkids grow up. Yeah, that's what's important to me, and to be around for my wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so very purposeful, connective pieces there.
Yep.
So what about a time where you were not at your best health-wise?
Yep.
Give me some concrete examples of how that showed up for you.
Oh, just mainly overweight, tight outfits, nothing fits, somewhat miserable, kind of like eating against my will, that sort of thing. When
you reflect on that time, how did that feeling impact your success with your career?
Not so much the career, I would say, maybe a little less energy, but it didn't really tie in too much with the career.
So you were still doing your real estate thing successfully.
Yep.
But also it sounds like it wasn't feeling that great to be shouldering the extra pounds and not feeling as energetic.
Correct. Yep.
Definitely the important impacts on the personal side.
Yep.
So
do you focus on that? I mean, or is it all business and code and?
Yeah, I do focus on that in the same way that we are exploring right now. So what I mean by that is even whether or not a client comes to me with that particular ask, that sort of getting to know someone both professionally and personally is an important part, I feel, of the coaching process, to be able to support someone holistically in moving forward with their goals. So oftentimes clients will come to me with support on that career transition, exploration, leadership development side. They're not coming to me necessarily for a specific health area. I do have a lot of clients that do that, but for those on the career side, when I'm getting to know them, I want to explore how they show up in other aspects of their life, because there is a saying, for example, how we do one thing is how we do everything. And when we explore other areas, if there is interest there in what's going on in our health or what's going on in our life and relationships, the momentum we build in those other spaces can absolutely then bring momentum and insight into those other spaces like career exploration or leadership development. I would actually say that that's probably selfishly my favorite sort of client, who has those multiple areas that they've raised their hand and say, I would love to focus on. For the others out there, I put the invitation to you to explore what else might be going on in life and how that reflection can help support you in moving forward with your career journey. So that was a very long-winded answer to your question, but did we hit the mark on that question for you?
Yep. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you so much, Kurt. And then I'm going to drop the link also to our website. There's a lot of really good information about the different verticals that we do coaching on, as well as you can read up about some of the other great coaches we have here, get pricing information and everything like that. But if you are interested in, continuing a conversation, if anything that you've heard today just sounds appealing and you want to explore more, you can reach out to Sarah, you can reach out to myself. I'll drop my link once again. And just as you know, this is a first come, first serve thing. A few of you have already signed up, which is fantastic to see. One thing that we do offer for anybody that comes to us from a webinar event is that you get your first session free. So that's something that we can explore and something to consider when you're taking into account budgeting or anything like that. Would love to have a conversation with you guys. And if it looks like we're rather full at the moment, constantly check in as much as you want, because people are constantly canceling or rescheduling. So you might be able to get in there sooner than you think. So does anybody have any other last minute questions? Or Sarah, is there anything that you'd like to give an overall hierarchy thing about Amala Vida, our coaching style, anything that you'd like to end on? I know thank you for doing such a great job feeding these questions on the fly for an hour straight. So thank you so much for all that. And I hope everyone found some value in everything today.
Absolutely.
This is Rick again. I have another question, if you don't mind, Sarah.
Sure, go ahead, Rick. Thank you for asking.
Okay. I know there'd be a range, but for some sessions and counseling can take years. For others, they have one day. Can you give us the average in terms of number of sessions and time period for the type of coaching they have for ALA?
Yes.
How you pronounce it again? Give me the proper pronunciation of the company.
Amala Vida.
Amala Vida.
Yep.
That's the best I can do.
No worries. So on average, we do a monthly membership basis, and we offer our clients two different options for the membership. And that's something we can dive deeper into on the initial conversation. But I would say, generally speaking, clients end up staying with us for about 9 to 12 months. It just depends on a couple of factors. A, where are you coming into us at? B, which frequency of meeting with your coaches is going to be the most appropriate for you, and which one will you decide on? C, kind of what are your goals? Are they industry specific or kind of things like that? And then the amount of work and effort you put into it, that's really going to help kind of teeter-totter how long you stay with it. But I would say that sweet spot that we found would be between about 9 to 12 months, I would say.
And what I would add to that coaching timing piece, especially on the career side, just like I was asking, I believe Jenny in the beginning around ideal timeline for transition. In my initial coaching sessions, it's all about building that roadmap for our time together. And of course, roadmaps, any targets that we have, they're going to evolve over time, but we want to know what target we are at least aiming for. And so we'll understand those parameters around your transition or what your other goals may be. So that way we're clear on how we're going to get there. And other variables that impact that timeline, like we touched upon, would be things like employer timelines, availability of job postings. There are all those sorts of unknown pieces. So that could impact timeline. But what we always ensure through our coaching plan is that we are working on the elements that we can control. So we're going to understand for you specifically, is it around the career fulfillment, identifying what new job you're looking for, being able to tell your own story? Or are there other elements that you're looking for that support on, like resume, cover letter, interview? There's so many different places we can go that help to influence that timeline and frequency. And it's also about what's going to uniquely work for you. So coaching, if I were to summarize 3 pieces of what it is as well, it's about structure, accountability, and support. So when you're feeling stuck and moving forward, having the structure, the container of these coaching sessions is one of those keys to keep moving forward, or finding that intentional joy where you're not currently finding it. The accountability of the sessions, as well as that accountability in terms of the communication that we define in between the sessions, is also something that we work through. And then support, it's going to look different for each person. Again, based on those areas you're seeking the coaching on, based on those areas that we uncover that are going to best support you. So I also share that all given that we just scratched the surface today on those pieces. Each of our sessions is typically 45 minutes long. And again, we have this longer roadmap there. So I hope this little taste has given you a sense of what that possibility could look like. But really, to better understand it, if you haven't experienced coaching before, that's where I'd say that conversation with the RS team, with Justice and others is going to really help to better understand what that could look like for you. So I'd say that would be the combo of more detail for Rick, but also my parting thoughts for today. And otherwise, thank you to all the great volunteers for being brave and willing to share. And I really hope that in our short time together, you were able to identify a concrete step or two to move forward, because momentum is progress. Progress builds confidence. No one likes being stuck. And so my goal is that we get you to wherever you want to be as quickly as possible. So thank you for the time.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Again, Sarah, thank you for doing everything so amazing on the fly. That being said, we look forward to hearing from you guys soon and hopefully seeing you at some other events we have in the future. But other than that, everybody have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.